Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. My name is Lisa de Chalier. I am the Director of International Operations at Canning College. Now, Canning College is located in Perth, Western Australia. We have an excellent reputation for providing international students with a pathway to university. And we started back in 1982, so we've been going for almost 40 years of producing some excellent students who have gone on to universities all over Australia and also to other parts of the world. So by having such long experience in teaching international students, we know exactly what students want and what the parents expect for their child as well. So I think that's probably the reason why we have been around for so long, because we've had some excellent results. Okay, so back in July of 2020, during COVID, we decided to offer all of our learning programs online. So we still have students onshore, but we needed to offer the students who had already enrolled with us but couldn't arrive into Western Australia. So we needed to offer those programs online. We are probably the only school, I think, that offers all senior secondary programs, Year 10, Year 11, Year 12, Foundation, and also the programs of Certificate 4 and Diploma, that we do those online as well as onshore. So the lessons are delivered via WebEx, which is very similar to Zoom, but is supported by the Education Department. WebEx, with those lessons, students are given all the instructions on how to download WebEx, and all the learning materials are placed on the learning management system called Connect. So just as a student who would walk into the classroom and the teacher would give them all of the resources, those students have access to all of the resources before they start the class. So unlike several of the universities that offer recorded lectures, all of our lessons are live and interactive. And in that way, we give offshore students the opportunity to attend the class with onshore students. And in the same way, they get to know the teachers very well and the other students. They can do joint presentations. Everything that they would do in a normal classroom, they can do by doing the live and interactive classes online. So even with the timetable, so once the students have chosen their subjects, we send them a timetable and tell them that they need to display that timetable in their workspace. And if a class starts at 8:40 in the morning, they need to log on at 8:35 so that they're all ready for that class. Now, for students in Hong Kong, it's excellent that we are in the same time zone. So we do have students from other countries that are in different time zones, and some of them are that dedicated that they actually get up in the middle of the night to start the classes. For students in Hong Kong, that is not an issue. If it's 8:40 here, it's 8:40 in Hong Kong. So that's good for students from Hong Kong. Also, we're often asked, what about the extra support for online students? Now, if a student is onshore and they have any questions, they can make an appointment with a student advisor in the office. So these student advisors have also been allocated care groups. So each student advisor has a care group, and that helps them connect with the students who are online. So if an online student says, oh, you know, I'm having a problem with this subject, they will email the care group leader. The care group leader could set up a WebEx session with the student, and they can discuss, just as they would discuss face-to-face, any problems, any issues that they're dealing with. The same with extra assistance for English, because a lot of our students need extra help with English. One of the advisors is also the literacy support officer. So students can make, online students and onshore students can make appointments with the literacy support officer and get extra help with their English. And the way that usually works is the student will show the literacy support officer a piece of work that they've done, an assessment, for example, that they're not happy with the result, and they will work through that together to work out how can the student improve with the next assessment. Okay, so introducing online for the first time is always a daunting experience. And we wanted to make sure that students were very happy with the online process. So at the end of 2020, we put a survey out to our students about their experience with online learning with Canning College. And you can see from the results here that all of the results of student response on how satisfied they were with different aspects of online learning, all of the results came in over 90%, which is excellent. So subject knowledge of teachers, well, we would expect that this would be very good because our teachers are very well qualified and knowledgeable. So that came in at 98%. Quality of lessons streaming service, okay, so that's using WebEx. Were they happy with that? 95% said yes, they were satisfied with that. Access to learning resources, so that's the use of Connect, 94% were happy with that. 94% said the quality of learning materials was very satisfactory. And this was the main one that we were concerned about, was the level of engagement in lessons, because we did not want the students to just be sitting in their bedroom and thinking, oh, okay, just doing another online lesson. We needed the students to be able to feel like they were part of that class and that they got to know the students and they felt like they belonged to Canning College, even though they were not at Canning College. 93% were satisfied, or even more than satisfied, with that level of engagement. So we felt vindicated that, yes, we were doing a good job with that. And even in our final group of mid-year foundation students, first group that started with doing online, they just finished their exams, and the teachers have reported to us that the students did feel like that they were connected to the other students and to the teachers. And in fact, they have made good friends with students in other parts of their own country that they were even going to travel to meet. So that's a nice little story as well. All right, so we are a bit of a different college. First of all, we are international only. We're the only government international only college in the whole of Australia. And we offer a variety of courses. So we have senior secondary, and then we have foundation, certificate 4 and diploma. Where I've got bridging programs down the bottom of that list, a bridging program is always part of year 10 or part of year 11. So if you want to go into year 11 and you've only completed half of year 10 in your own country, you could come in the middle of the year and do the second half of year 10. That will take you into year 11. Sometimes students feel like they've been out of education for a little while, they want to go into foundation, and then they will come to us for bridging, which would be second half of year 11. And that just helps them get a bit more background information on the subjects that they will be studying in foundation. So each of these courses, I'll just give a quick rundown about what is in each of the courses. So we started the year 10 program only a couple of years ago because of the need that many parents said they wanted their child to start in the education system of Australia at a younger age, because they felt that that would give them a greater benefit and just understanding how we teach and how students are expected to learn. If they started earlier, then they would have more success in university by the time they got there. So our year 10 program, very much like year 10 programs in local government schools for domestic students, it integrates the STEM subjects of science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So to get into year 10, you need the entry from year 9 or equivalent in Hong Kong. And we would expect an IELTS of 4.5 or an equivalent test, and normally no band lower than 4.0. If the student has been attending a school where the medium of instruction is in English, if they pass English at that level, well, that is accepted as well. So as I said before, our programs are designed to promote creative, independent and critical thinking. Now, sometimes this is quite different to what is expected in other countries. So the earlier they start, the more they become adapted to that creative, independent and critical thinking. We have multiple intakes, February and April, and then also, as I mentioned before, if it's used as a bridging program, they can even come in July or in October. The reason they can do that in Year 10 is because it's taught in modules, so each term starts and finishes. You can see on the left-hand side, always we have 9 hours of English in our programs, in our senior secondary programs, because we know that international students need more English than what they would normally get with the domestic school. So 9 hours of English, 4.5 of maths, 4.5 of science, information technology and business. And for the students who are onshore, they also have 1 hour of electives. They run an English club that's not mentioned on here as well for the Year 10 students, and that is run by the literacy coordinator. Okay, Year 11, we will also get students coming into Year 11 when they want to have 2 years rather than just 1 year at Canning College. And the reason for that is because the subjects in Year 11 lead directly into Year 12 or Foundation. So once again, entry requirements, Year 10 or equivalent, IELTS of 5.0, no band less than 4.5. We do take English tests such as TOEFL and Duolingo as well. And also if the student has been in a school where English is the medium of instruction, then we will accept a pass in English at Year 10 level. So compulsory subjects, English and maths. Now, the two maths that the student can choose are the application or methods. Applications is easier, methods contains calculus. And then the optional subjects, very similar to what is taught in Year 12 and Foundation. So you can see that they divided into either business type subjects or science subjects. For the students onshore, they do get to participate in electives such as art, dance, sport, music and cooking. All right, that is one part with the online students that they do miss out on that, except if they can, sometimes the teacher will include by filming the class that's going on, will include that as well for the online students. For Year 11, 2 entry points, February and April. The July entry is only for bridging. So a student who already has half of Year 11, or maybe the whole of Year 11 just needs to do a bit of a bridging course, they can come in mid-year, but they cannot come in 4th term because it is not taught in modules. Okay, the most popular program for Canning College is the West Australian University's Foundation program. Now, I have said before that we do teach WACE Year 12, but we don't often have students wanting to do that because originally at Canning College, we only taught WACE. So WACE stands for West Australian Certificate of Education. That is the year that all domestic students do to go into university. Originally, we taught that, but we realised that by only offering that, the students were only getting 4.5 hours of English. So the 4 West Australian universities got together and created this program, the West Australian University's Foundation program. Usually we just refer to it as Foundation. And they said in this program, the students will have 9 hours of English. I always refer to our foundation program as an academic foundation program because we cover the same syllabus in all subjects other than English. We cover the same syllabus as WACE Year 12. So that means that the chemistry that domestic students learn in Year 12 is exactly the same chemistry that our foundation students learn. Same with all the other subjects, maths, science, human biology, economics, all of those subjects. So when our international students progress to a university in Australia, they have exactly the same background knowledge as what the domestic students have. So it is a very, very good program. Entry requirements, we want Year 11 or equivalent, IELTS of 5.5 with no band below 5.0. Also will accept other English tests. The same rule applies. If they've been in a school where English was the medium of instruction, we will also accept Form 5 in Hong Kong if you've passed the English in Form 5. So this foundation program provides pathways to West Australian universities. It also provides a pathway to universities in other Australian cities and even overseas. So, for example, many students are very keen on going to the University of Melbourne, and our students do progress to the University of Melbourne each year, right? But in saying that, most students, if they've chosen to come to Canning College, almost always they have their heart set on going to a West Australian university. If that is the case, the student wants to go to a West Australian university, then you can package with foundation plus a degree course at a West Australian university. We have 3 entry points, and that's also quite different to other institutions. In fact, there is only one other institution who is teaching in Western Australia that's teaching this program, and that is a private school, and they have just a very small intake. We have the 3 intakes, and we have the largest number, of course. So we have students coming in January and April, and both of those intakes finish in November. So as you can imagine, the April intake is 10 weeks less than the January intake. And we tend to say to students, if you want April intake, you need to be an above average student, because this is a fast track program. All right, students will be working very hard, very fast, because they need to be catching up to the students who started in January. The mid-year foundation is an excellent foundation program for students who finish their own course in the middle of the year. And it goes from the middle of one year to the middle of the next. Well, it actually starts at the beginning of August and goes through to June. So students who do mid-year foundation will be progressing to a degree that starts in second semester. So there are some degrees, particularly health science degrees from Curtin, that do not have a semester 2 intake. So when students are thinking about mid-year, we will always ask them, what do you want to do at university? And we will check that that degree is provided in second semester. Another reason why I say that our foundation program is an academic program is because there is an external examination. Right, some foundation programs, all assessments are done in-house, whereas ours, half of the results come from Canning College, from their assessments and their exams at Canning College, and the other 50% of their results come from the external examination, which is set by TISC, Tertiary Institution Service Centre. This TISC also controls the external examinations for WACE students. So, you know, you can see that by them having to do that external examination, it is a little bit more difficult than just internal assessments. So as I say, very popular program. We've been running this since 1992, and our students have gone from that foundation program to many universities, which I'll show you with a later slide. So these are the subjects that are provided in the January intake. For the other intakes, sometimes there is a reduction of subjects availability, and students are told that beforehand. So in January, they have, everyone must do English language and Australian cultural studies. Now this is for 9 hours a week, 2 teachers. So 4.5 hours for Module A, 4.5 hours for Module B. Module A concentrates on English language and Module B on the cultural studies. Now, this is not, it's never, the English we teach is never just grammar. In fact, it's never grammar. It's always about other aspects of English that is needed at a university level. So we really prepare the students through this program to be successful when they're at university. They learn research skills. They learn referencing skills such as in-text and end-text referencing. They learn how to avoid plagiarising, which is very difficult for international students because, you know, they're always told to use their own words. Well, their own words are a different language. So we really concentrate on showing students how to read something, understand it, and then be able to summarise that using different words to what they have just read. So it is an excellent preparation in essay writing, understanding what's said. There's also a large component of oral work where they have to do oral presentations. This gives them the confidence. Doing it at Canning College in a smaller group gives them the confidence for when they go to university and need to deliver an oral presentation in front of a larger group. So out of the other subjects, they choose 3 or 4. They only need 3 to get the result, 3 plus English. Sometimes I will say to students, choose 4 subjects in the beginning, because then that gives you the option of being able to drop a subject or not be so concerned if the results for one subject is not as good as another. So when a student is choosing subjects, the advisors will ask the student, what do you want to do at university? And whatever they want to do at university, that will decide what subjects they should be doing. So if, for example, they say they want to do engineering, they are normally told that they should do physics, chemistry, maths methods, and maths specialist. If they want to do physiotherapy, at Curtin University says that they need a minimum of 1 science subject. So normally students are veered towards human biology because that is excellent preparation for physiotherapy. And then they would choose other subjects that they know that they're good at, because for more difficult degrees, the score is higher. So our scores come out as a percentage, and then we can convert that to an ATAR, a ranking. Now, the percentage needed for physiotherapy, for example, is 70%. For most degrees at Curtin University, 53%. But because physiotherapy is more difficult and also is a more competitive program at university, they have raised that up to 70%. So students are then counting on getting 70% or over at the end of the year to be able to get into physiotherapy. Of course, students must also pass ELACs, English Language and Australian Cultural Studies. A lot of help is given with this choosing of subjects. And as I say, often told students to choose the 4 because they might find after a month or so, oh, I'm not that good at that subject, and I have the opportunity to drop that. Okay, so saying to you that Foundation is our most popular program, and we have a lot of statistics on where students go and what they do. So in 2020, this was a very different year for Canning College. Because of COVID, we did not have an April intake, and it really did reduce the numbers of our students. But in saying that, the students still were particularly successful, the ones that came to us. And what was a little bit unusual is normally our students go to places all over Australia for their university placement the following year. Because of COVID and the travel restrictions, even within Australia itself, all of our students, in fact, chose to stay in Western Australia, except for one student went to the University of Adelaide. So this is just a quick snapshot of the top 30 students who completed the foundation program last year. So out of the top 30 students, 9 came from Malaysia, 8 from Singapore, 4 from Hong Kong, 2 from Indonesia, 1 student from each of the following countries: Vietnam, Korea, Myanmar, mainland China, and the Philippines. Now, 20 of our students went out of the top 30 students, went to Curtin University. 8 went to the University of Western Australia. 2 went to Murdoch University. Most popular university courses were physiotherapy and commerce. Now, physiotherapy, I think, is extremely popular for students from Hong Kong. And over the past probably 5 years, almost every student coming in from Hong Kong is asking to do physiotherapy. I'm not sure if that is still the case for next year, but it is very, very popular with students from Hong Kong. Okay, I've also included what happened in 2019 with the top 6 students, just to give you a little bit of an indication of how our students normally go to a variety of universities. And so in 2019, our top student was a boy who got an amazing 99.7, and he went on to the University of Adelaide to do a Bachelor of Advanced Science. Second student, a girl from Indonesia, went to a university in Korea. The third, a boy from China, went to a university of Commerce. The next, a boy from Singapore, did physiotherapy at Curtin. The next one, a girl from Indonesia, went on to the University of Melbourne, and the final one went to the University of Western Australia. So that just shows you from the top 6 that they were all going to different places, and that is fairly typical when when we're not going through a pandemic. So last year, it stayed in Western Australia. The year before, it shows you a little bit more of what typically would happen. So from this map here, it shows you the destinations. The reality is about 80% of our students who complete foundation go on to one of the universities in Western Australia. So we have the University of Western Australia, Curtin University, Murdoch University, Edith Cowan University, and the University of Notre Dame. So the reason for many students going to Curtin University, I think, is because, first of all, we are located right next door to Curtin University. So for any students who are not packaged, they become extremely familiar with that university because they can just walk over there and they can use their library, they can use their gym, they just become very familiar with Curtin University. Also very popular because they are offering the health science degrees, popular health science degrees such as pharmacy and physiotherapy. We also have just started packaging students with the University of Notre Dame as well, which is the Catholic University in Fremantle. On the other parts of Australia, you can see now it's not just those universities, but in the past few years, students of ours have gone to each of the capital cities and to those universities that are listed. Students can also go to an international university, and as you can see, we have had students who have gone to the UK, to the United States, Canada, and New Zealand. We do always recommend that students who want to go overseas, that they check beforehand that our foundation program is accepted. Anytime we receive a query about the foundation program, we send all the details from the government about that program, and that usually is enough. The fact that Melbourne University refers to our foundation program in their prospectus gives it a lot of validity in Australia, because Melbourne is ranked number one, and they really do promote our foundation program as well. Okay. So just very quickly, we also have a Certificate for a University Access program. This is a Year 12 level program, but it is a lot easier than foundation. Most students who do Certificate 4 will go on to our Diploma of Commerce. So it is a course that teaches business subjects. Students can go to some degrees at Curtin University and Murdoch University. They are the only 2 universities that they go to directly from Cert 4. If they choose to go on to our diploma, they could go into the UWA stream or the Curtin stream. So that is one way that they can get into UWA from Certificate 4. But Certificate 4 students tend to just stay in Western Australia. And if they want to go directly to university from Certificate 4, it is only Curtin and Murdoch University. Okay, so this just shows you the subjects that are taught with Certificate 4. There is 2 subjects that are taught, so it's only a 6-month program, and maths and English are taught for 2 terms, and the other subjects are taught 1 term each. Okay, Diploma of Commerce is also a very good program, and Canning College is well known for this program because it is the first year of commerce. So it's the first year equivalent of commerce. Students who have completed their HKDSE and have passed a minimum of 4 subjects in relevant subjects can apply directly to go into the Diploma of Commerce. We would need an IELTS of 6.0 with no band below 5.5. So students then can progress to one of our West Australian universities. And so they do the Diploma of Commerce with Canning College, and then they go into second year at one of those universities. So either UWA, Curtin, Murdoch, or University of Notre Dame. The reason why a lot of students will choose this is because instead of going directly into a large university with thousands and thousands of students, they can join our Diploma of Commerce with a smaller group of students and get extra attention, particularly with their English. And also it is a lot cheaper than going. It's $25,000 to do a diploma compared to $39,000 at UWA and about $30,000 at Curtin Uni. Okay. All right, so back onto this is the main question we're getting at the moment. Because we will be running online lessons until the border restrictions are removed. So we are not sure when that will happen. We are hoping that next year sometime the travel restrictions will be removed. But in the meantime, we do not want students to waste another minute. So if the student is ready to start an overseas education, we would like the students to start with us by starting with the online lessons. We have been doing online lessons for a full year now with success. So we feel confident to say that even though we would prefer that you come to Canning College and when the time comes, that's what you will be doing. But in the meantime, we are happy to continue with our online lessons and prove to the students that they will feel like they are part of Canning College. So at the beginning of the program, students receive an assessment outline that would be put on to Connect. So the student can look at, okay, this is what's happening every week for the rest of the year. Instructions about the lessons are either given to the students via WebEx in the previous lesson, or the instructions are put on to Connect. Okay, you can see in the little images on the left here that down the bottom, that's Michelle Rose. She is a Certificate 4 teacher, and she is talking to the students. You can see she has an eyeball camera on the desk. She also has a microphone as well, and she has some students in the classroom, but also students online. So the teacher will position themselves so that the online students don't miss anything. The online students are expected to keep their video on at all times, so that the teacher can see what's happening over there as well. So students get to see and hear the teacher and other students, onshore and offshore. They get to participate in classroom discussions and activities. Now you can see in the slide above on the top there, these are the online students participating in a science experiment. So the teacher is in the classroom, and the teacher has the camera on him, and he is showing what experiment he is doing. He has also put instructions on to Connect to the online students how they can duplicate this experiment in their own kitchen. So you can see that the boy in the middle, he's in his kitchen above the cooktop there, and he is following the instructions that the teacher has given him. One of the boys in this image is from Hong Kong, and we know this boy well, and so we have a lot of contact with the students, even in the office. Like, they are sending emails to us, they're sending emails to the teachers. If they need to have a little bit of conversation, even if you have students who want to come to Canning College and they need a little bit extra information, we are more than happy to run a Zoom session for individual students and their parents as well. All right, tuition fees. Now, tuition fees are the same for online or onshore. And the reason for that is we are a government institution. They set the fees. We don't have any control over the fee setting, but we do, sometimes we can make the fees slightly less by issuing a scholarship. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So basically, Year 10, Year 11, Year 12 foundation, the full program is $23,578. For Year 10 and Year 11, if they come in at a different intake, it is reduced. For foundation and WACE Year 12, it's the same no matter what intake, even for April, because April, even though there's 10 weeks less, each class runs for an extra hour per week, and also we have to do the same registration with TISC. bridging programs. So for one term, it's 7,359. 18-week bridging is about 12,500. Certificate 4, remember, this is a 6-month program, that is 14,739. And Diploma of Commerce is 25,000. Okay, so with scholarships, all of our scholarships are based on academic merit. So when we look at if a student from Hong Kong is coming into foundation from Form 5, we would expect very high results in Form 5 in relevant subjects. So I keep referring to relevant subjects. We cannot include a subject like Chinese as a relevant subject because it is not taught in our schooling system. Okay, so if a student is an A or an A+ student, the counsellor would send through an application, a scholarship application, to see if they can receive some form of scholarship. And then I would assess the application, look at the results, and then decide if there is a scholarship available for this student. So the scholarships for Foundation Year 12 vary from 3,000 up to 10,000, and that is taken off the tuition fees. For Diploma of Commerce, it's 5,000, and Certificate 4 is 3,000. We also do have family bursaries. So if a brother or a sister or even a parent has come to Canning College, we would reduce the fees by 10%. Also, a student who chooses to do a course with us and then at the end of the course decides that they will apply for another course at Canning College, we will also take 10,000 off their fees. I always say to students, don't be so concerned about the scholarship you get from us. Be concerned about the scholarship that by studying at Canning College, what will you receive at a university? Now, we produce very, very good students. So almost all of our good students will receive a scholarship at the university that they go to after Canning College. So I think you probably know that at Curtin University, for example, our students receive 25% off their first year fees if they just achieve the minimum score required for that degree. At UWA, they have the excellence scholarships where, depending on your scores, you can get up to $15,000 per year taken off your tuition fees. And as I say, if you saw the results of our students, you would understand why so many of them receive a scholarship. So that is it for my presentation. So just a couple of little shots of what's going on at Canning College there. And I hope that this has been useful, and hopefully there are some questions. I feel guilty to say this to you, but our life has not been interrupted with COVID. And in fact, out of the 18 months of COVID, the students have only missed 2 weeks of classes. Okay, there was 1 week where they got an extended week of holidays, and that was back last year. And then this year they had 1 week where they studied from home. And so the good thing is because we have online learning, even our onshore students can do that. So if ever there is a lockdown, and it has only happened, it's basically only happened twice in Western Australia, and that was for 1 week at a time. So then the students can continue with their studies from their home. But basically, we don't wear masks. You know, we don't have to wear masks. We are allowed big groups of people. We just don't have the issue. And the reason for that is quite obvious. It's because our borders have been shut. And so the only time that there is some incidence of COVID, it's when someone comes back from another country, and they only allow Australians back in. I think we only accept 550 per week. So, you know, we haven't had any transmitted, you know, we don't ever get any new cases. It's only if someone's come back and they've spread it to somebody. But all people coming back in have to go into hotel quarantine anyhow. So, you know, we are extremely fortunate, but there is a bad side to that, because people can't come in, you know, and that makes us feel sad as well, because, you know, we want it to get back to normal, just like everybody does.